Episode 8, it's George versus Valtteri. Once again, we've got more Williams. This one, again, because it's a lot of behind the scenes, it was quite good. So they went the Imola crash, then Silverstone, because there were rumours that he was going to be announced.
Then behind the scenes also of kind of seeing kind of like when, rumours came out that George was going to be announced and stuff. And then seeing like the Williams, what's her name, PR person, saying that it was removed and stuff, and seeing how concerned George was after. That was so interesting because you seeing how concerned both of them were and how on edge both of them were. Am I staying? Am I leaving? And how intense it was. That was very, very interesting. Seeing kind of how Toto's going about making his decision.
A lot of Toto in that.
They built up to kind of George with his podium, out qualifying Lewis in the rain. That kind of just like with Valtteri not being able to go for it, I think that was amazing the way kind of they portrayed that. And then you kind of get him announcing it to George, and him speaking to Valtteri also about like those two scenes were really nice where he was
when he's behind the garage talking.
And then when he invites Valtteri over and he speaks to him, so that was very, very interesting because you never get like access to stuff like that. That's the stuff we want to see, like.
That's why they're filming.
Exactly.
That's why they get.
I don't want to see like on track stuff. I can just Google it and watch it. I want to see these behind the scenes stuff that is kind of actually we know like George versus Valtteri was a big thing. Like at the beginning they were like, who like what's his name? People in contention for the seat essentially. And then they showed like every young driver on the paddock.
Literally everyone. Half of them had contracts.
Yeah, what's Ocon doing in there? Like Ocon's never like ahead of Valtteri and George. Bro, you nuts, man. Like that's just annoying. I didn't get that.
No, but then they did cut to George. They did a lot of George. They did a lot of. Valtteri. There was not a lot of Valtteri actually this time, to be honest.
It was way more on kind of George's.
Like this was the episode where you said there was a bit of context on Sakir finally. Then there was him going around with his girlfriend. They had a little meal. They're talking.
It was interesting though how after Sakir was talking about like the difference in people kind of recognizing him and all of that.
It was weird. Like one race in a big team, you'd think the difference in terms of fame, obviously, like general, but like in Britain, general recognition being higher because you were in a Mercedes at the front of the group. You would have thought most people.
Exactly, because also like it was so emotional, so people would have kind of clocked onto it. If he's just doing well, people might not recognize him as much. But I think it's because of what happened at Sakir as well. I think that kind of added to it.
Yeah,
because everyone was speaking about it as well afterwards. In terms of the media and stuff.
Yeah, it's just my issue with this episode is because once again now for like the third time, we've got another narrative where it was already played last year. And I guess it has to come in again because this time it happened. So like last time it was I don't know, like Haas being poor, and then this year they've done Haas being poor again because continuity or whatever. And then they've got Red Bull versus Mercedes and Horner and his horrific, unhealthy obsession. And like, cool, yeah, you're gonna need to show it again because this time he won, but like it's there again and the build up's there and then there's context and then there's it just feels like the same thing. And then this time it's copy and go into exactly like this time it was copy and paste again. Like George, young talent, he's so young and he's so fast. And then Valtteri, he's so calm and collected and so consistent and he's so good. Like I get that you need to hype up that it's consistent. I get that you need to hype up that it's an important decision to make, but you've already done this for like 3 years in a row. So just constantly like telling me in my head, this is an important decision. And I guess the biggest problem is we all know the answer. Like, why are you hyping up to be this thing where in our heads we're meant to be going, oh my god, it is such a tough decision. Don't give it the angle of I wonder what he's gonna do. Give it the angle of this is gonna be a tough conversation to have. Because either I tell this young kid that once again we're gonna tell him, nah, sorry, we don't want you. Or we're going to tell the driver that we've had for 5 years, who knows the team, who knows the engineers, who knows everyone, and who's been with Lewis and the rest of the team throughout their periods of dominance. We're going to tell him, you haven't really done anything wrong, we just want someone better. Like, come at the angle of the emotions rather than the anticipation for the decision.
I think also like they could cover the fact that if they don't sign George, there is a very, very high likelihood that he would leave.
Yeah, exactly. That wasn't mentioned at all.
And like other teams, if you have the chance of signing George Russell, drop whoever you have and sign George Russell. Like,
Yeah.
like, if you're at McLaren, obviously you'd really want him. Like, if I'm at McLaren, drop Daniel and get George and Lando. Okay, maybe that's a bit more like.
It's a tough decision, but it's still worth considering.
Exactly.
And the point is, you would negotiate with them.
Exactly.
And George would definitely approach them to negotiate because he's in Williams. He has nothing to lose.
So I'd say like the teams that were kind of at the time would have a look at it. I don't think Ferrari would have a look at it, to be honest. But I think Red Bull would have a look at it. Like having him as like him and Verstappen in a team would be maybe a good idea. Obviously, George is a bit more relaxed. They're both kind of relaxed, super competitive, but there is a conversation.
No, yeah, it's at least
McLaren. I think is probably the best fit for him.
Definitely.
And then you've got like other teams in the midfield that he could have a look at. Like, you know, if Aston Martin, like, he could have had literally like the conversation of him moving from Williams to Aston Martin. You're moving up the grid, you know, moving say to the Mercedes. We want to keep Valtteri for just the next year. If I'm George, I would have stayed, to be honest, at Williams for that year.
Sure, but the thing is,
go to Aston Martin.
If you're George and Mercedes have told you no, you're in the bottom team in the grid. Maybe like there's opportunity to be ahead of Haas and Alfa Romeo because they were, but that leaves so many options.
Exactly.
And you lose nothing by trying to negotiate with all of them because you have a great track record.
Exactly.
And you have the proof of Sakir and all the rest of it. Like, it would have been interesting to have a different angle rather than constantly the copy and paste of this important. It's so this decision is so important. I wonder what's going to happen. Don't make us wonder what's going to happen. All of your fans have watched this season. You've made them Formula One fans. Why are you introducing your new Formula One fans? Like, you did the job you were supposed to do. You made them Formula One fans. And now you're babying them again from the beginning, saying, oh, you know, I wonder what he's going to do. Like, as if they haven't watched the season. Those people cheering for George in Silverstone, most of them would have seen him through Drive to Survive.
Exactly.
Why do you think they bought those tickets? Like, they're there for him because they saw him on Drive to Survive. And now you're acting like they haven't, you know, they weren't watching.
I think one thing is the way they treat Drive to Survive is as if you haven't watched the season.
Yeah, exactly.
But most people know what happened. They know who won. They know all the big stories. So it makes it very boring to watch because you already know what's going to happen.
And everyone does, because before it was just the old fans, but now what? Like,
I think if they look at it from a different angle, that's what you're saying. It would make it more interesting because then it's not about what's gonna happen, but rather the other side of it. I think that's why I actually, since the beginning of Drive to Survive, I've hated Drive to Survive from season 1. Not because of the impact it has in F1 or anything, but I already know what's gonna happen. What's the point?
Yeah.
Like season 1 to season 4 now, there are very few episodes that if I sat down and watched, I'd be like the Williams one, perhaps the Yuki one, you know, like perhaps the George Valtteri one. Like if I sat down and watched those, I'd be like, you know, this is interesting.
Yeah.
The rest of them, I'd be like, I already know what's happening, and it's not really adding anything.
Yeah,
it's just boring.
Like,
so
that's the thing. Like the unique situation we're in now is like we're saying. Just beforehand, it was just the old fans saying, I hate Drive to Survive, or it just tells me what I already know. But now it's the new fans. Like realistically, once this comes out and everyone's finished it, they should agree as well, because we're all coming at it from the same angle now, needing more new stuff. Yeah. So I don't know, it'll be interesting to see. I might chat to some new fans, see what they're saying about it, see what they think.
All the new fans I know did not find it very interesting.
Okay, that is worth noting.